You won't believe what my HOA neighbor did. She literally kept breaking into my house just to inspect my curtains and grass height. Yeah, Karen. And when I'd finally had enough, I decided to teach her a lesson she would never forget. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stick around, because this one gets messy. It all started 3 months after I moved into my new suburban dream home, the kind of place where every lawn is perfectly trimmed, every mailbox looks identical, and every smile hides judgment. I thought I'd finally escaped the chaos of apartment living, but I had no idea I'd moved right next door to the queen of the HOA, Karen herself, a woman who believed she had divine authority over every blade of grass in the neighborhood. The first time I met her, she didn't say hello. Instead, she handed me a printed list of community guidelines, with words underlined in red marker, as if I were being graded. She told me my welcome mat was too colorful, and that bright colors attract undesirable attention. I laughed it off at first, thinking maybe she was just overenthusiastic, but little did I know that her obsession with control was just beginning. It started small. Passive-aggressive notes on my door, complaints about my trash bins being visible from the street, and emails about my fence being 2 inches higher than neighborhood standards. But then, one Saturday morning, I caught her on my porch, peering through my living room window like a detective. When I opened the door, she jumped back and claimed she was just checking for safety hazards. I told her politely to leave, but that only seemed to fuel her determination. Within days, she started showing up whenever I wasn't home. At least, that's what my doorbell camera showed. She'd inspect my flower beds, peek into my windows, and even tug at my doorknob. One night, I came home late from work to find muddy footprints leading from my front steps to the hallway. My stomach dropped. Someone had been inside. I checked the footage, and there she was, Karen, letting herself in with what looked like a spare key. I didn't even know how she'd gotten it. I called the police, but they shrugged it off as a civil matter, since nothing was stolen. So I changed the locks. 2 days later, my back door was mysteriously unlocked again. That's when I realized Karen wasn't just nosy, she was obsessed with control. Every time she came over, she'd comment about my non-approved garden lights, the unregistered bird feeder, or the inconsistent shade of blue on my shutters. She'd bring HOA rules printed out like evidence in a courtroom. And when I'd tell her to leave, she'd say, "I'm just trying to help you comply, dear." Eventually, I confronted her at the HOA meeting, hoping embarrassment might make her stop. But she turned it around, claiming I had aggressive tendencies, and that she was just trying to maintain order. The board believed her, of course, she practically ran it. That night, I realized I had 2 options: sell the house and run, or make her regret ever crossing my doorstep. I chose the latter. I started documenting everything, every intrusion, every note, every photo. I printed screenshots and timestamped her trespasses. But evidence wasn't enough. I needed to hit her where it hurt, her pride. That's when the idea of the blue paint came to me. You see, Karen loved rules, but she hated imperfection. The HOA's official door color policy allowed only 4 shades: beige, white, gray, or muted green. Mine was beige, but I decided it was time for an upgrade, not to the whole door, just to the trap she'd never see coming. I bought a bucket of bright, ocean blue paint, the kind that screams rebellion in HOA language, and coated the inside of my doorframe, the part hidden when the door was shut. When dry, it looked invisible, just the faintest glimmer of color under the light. Then, I set up my motion camera and waited. The next afternoon, while I was at work, Karen came strolling up like she owned the place. She glanced around, checked the street, and then pulled out her shiny key again. The camera caught everything. As she pushed the door open, her pristine white blouse brushed against the wet paint I'd freshly reapplied an hour earlier. She froze, probably feeling the tacky texture, but it was too late. By the time she stepped back, her blouse was smeared in streaks of defiant blue. She looked down, horrified, then touched her hair and face, leaving fingerprints like war paint. She panicked, fumbling with her phone, and that's when I stepped out from the side of the house with my camera rolling. "Caught you again, Karen," I said, smiling. She screamed something about property damage, and calling the police. I told her to go ahead, I'd be happy to show them the footage. She left in a huff, blue handprints all over her door handle, her blouse, and even her SUV door when she slammed it shut. That night, she filed a complaint with the HOA, claiming I'd assaulted her with paint. But when the police came, I showed them the footage, her unlocking my door, stepping inside uninvited, and then getting caught blue-handed. Literally, the officer couldn't stop smirking. "Looks like she painted herself into a corner," he said before warning her to stay off my property. For a week, things were quiet. No notes, no visits, no Karen. I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd won. But then, at 3 a.m. one night, I woke up to the sound of my sprinkler system turning on, only I didn't have a timer set for that hour. I went outside and found my lawn drenched, my mailbox open, and a faint trail of wet footprints leading away. That's when I realized the paint trap had only humiliated her, not stopped her. So I upgraded my defense. Motion-activated sprinklers, security alarms, and a fake HOA compliance zone sign on my porch just to mock her. The next time she came snooping, she triggered the sprinklers full blast, drenching her new pastel pink tracksuit. She screamed so loud I think half the neighborhood heard her. The footage went viral after I posted it anonymously titled, HOA Karen vs. Security System. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. She started spreading rumors that I was mentally unstable, that I installed illegal surveillance, and that my house lowered property values. She even filed a petition to have me evaluated for compliance. The HOA actually scheduled a hearing for me, but I came prepared. I brought every piece of evidence. Her break-ins, her trespassing, the blue paint video, and even the viral sprinkler footage. When I played it all on the projector, the room went silent. Karen's face turned as red as her old HOA binder. One of the board members muttered, "This is unacceptable." I thought they meant me, but then they turned to Karen. "You've violated multiple privacy and property laws," they said. "Effective immediately, you're suspended from HOA activities." She tried to argue, of course, waving her arms, threatening lawsuits, but nobody listened. I thought that was the end. But a week later, I came home to find a note on my porch written in smudged blue ink. "You think you've won, but this neighborhood belongs to me." My stomach dropped, because I recognized the handwriting. That night, I installed extra locks, reinforced my windows, and started sleeping with the security monitor next to my bed. Then, one morning, I woke up to find my car windows painted blue, the exact same shade I'd used on the trap. I checked my cameras, but somehow, they'd been disabled. Whoever did it knew exactly where the sensors were. That's when I realized Karen wasn't acting alone anymore. A few of her HOA allies had started showing up again, whispering, watching. I overheard them at the mailbox talking about getting rid of the troublemaker. I pretended not to notice, but I started planning again. I decided to turn their own obsession against them. I filed a complaint to the city zoning office, citing multiple unapproved HOA structures, including the illegal shed Karen's husband had built last year. The inspection team came in full force. Within days, fines were issued, and the HOA's reputation crumbled. Suddenly, neighbors were angry, not at me, but at Karen, for dragging them into her mess. She tried to play the victim, but by now everyone had seen the videos, the evidence, the blue streaks of karma. Eventually, she moved out, packed up her pastel furniture and left under the cover of night. I thought it was over. Until, a month later, I got a letter addressed from her new HOA, in another neighborhood. Inside was just a photo of a freshly painted doorframe, bright blue. I couldn't help but laugh. Maybe some people never change. Maybe Karen was destined to haunt doorways forever. But me, I sleep just fine now. My cameras are up, my sprinklers ready, and my paintbrush always loaded. Because in this neighborhood, you never know when another Karen might move in. So yeah, that's how my HOA nightmare turned into a blue-painted legend, and a reminder that sometimes, the best revenge isn't anger or violence, but a little creativity and a well-timed coat of paint.